Welcome to your first lesson in grade 11 chemistry. In this video, what we're going to do is look at what chemistry is and how matter can be categorized. To begin, chemistry is the study of matter, its properties, and its changes or transformations. Since we are studying matter, we need to determine or define how matter can be broken down into several different categories. Matter can be broken down into two main categories: pure substances or mixtures. First, let's look at pure substances. These are substances in which all the particles that make up the substance are the same. Some examples could be hydrogen gas, sodium chloride, and glucose. Mixtures are substances in which some particles that make up the substance are different. So lots of examples here. Some might be soapy water. You could also have a mixture of salt and pepper, or things like Kool-Aid, pizza. So many different things could be considered mixtures. Now, if we go back to pure substances can be classified in two different ways. Looking at that classification then, pure substances can either be elements or they can be compounds. Let's first look at elements. So these are made up of one type of atom, so they can't be broken down any further. Basically, anything that you find on the periodic table are elements. So things like hydrogen gas, that's found on the periodic table, so that's an element. Also, pure sodium or pure chlorine would all be elements. If it's not found on the periodic table, then it's going to be a compound. And so compounds are made up of one type of molecule. If they're a molecule, it means they can be broken down into their corresponding atoms. So things such as sodium chloride can be broken down into both sodium and chlorine atoms. Glucose is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, so it can be broken down into its corresponding atoms. You can have two types of compounds. You can have ionic compounds in which you have a metal and a nonmetal. An example of this would be sodium chloride, where sodium is the metal, chlorine is the nonmetal. Or you can have covalent compounds in which you have two nonmetals, or potentially even three nonmetals in its formula. So an example of that would be glucose, which is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. All three are nonmetals. Now, if we go back to mixtures, mixtures can also be classified in two ways. They can either be solutions or they can be heterogeneous mixtures, or sometimes called mechanical mixtures. Solutions look the same everywhere. They are homogeneous, homo meaning the same. That means that when you look at a solution, all you see is one visible phase. So an example might be soapy water. If you dissolve some soap in water, it looks like all one phase. Acids and bases are really good examples of solutions because an acid or a base is always dissolved in water, but it looks like one phase, so they are solutions. A heterogeneous mixture, or sometimes referred to as a mechanical mixture, is going to look different at different locations. That means it's got two or more visible phases. So some examples here might be your salt and pepper mixture. If you look at a mixture of salt and pepper, In places you'll see white, which is the salt, or black, which is the pepper. But they don't mix in together to form one visible phase. So they have two or more distinct phases. Another example might be if you have granite countertops in your kitchen or a granite rock. That looks different in different places. Pizza is another example. So you've got your crust, you've got your sauce, you got your cheese, your toppings. It's going to look different at different locations.